Okay, so we've talked this entire past few weeks about the Philadelphia Flyers and a bunch of the prospects in their system. We've made videos about Cutter Gauthier, Matvei Michkov, Tyler Forster, a whole bunch of guys. It's always a fun time talking about Philly prospects. But in today's video, we are shifting our focus away from the future and instead talking about the now. Let's head over onto an article published on Sportsnet.ca earlier last week. This is from a while ago, excuse me. 2 weeks ago even, talking about the biggest unanswered questions for each team in the Metropolitan Division. This was written out by Ryan Dixon on August 23rd, so yeah, it has been multiple weeks, so I apologize. And what I wanted to do was focus on the Philadelphia Flyers question that is brought up in this piece. Of course, it's one question for each Metro team, so if you're a fan of any of the other teams in this division, then hey, it's cool. You could check the link in the description, it's all there. But without further ado, let's scroll into this article and read what the assessment here is for Philly. Sean Couturier has not played an NHL game since December 18, 2021. He started practicing with the Flyers late last season, but never made it back into the lineup. Earlier this month, new team president Keith Jones said the expectation is that Couturier, with 2 back surgeries now behind him, will be ready to go on day 1 of training camp. The real question for Philly and Couturier, assuming he's fully healthy, is, what now? The Flyers are in an infant stage of a rebuild, just as Couturier is coming into the second year of an 8-year extension he had inked in 2021. The 30-year-old, who won the 2020 Selke Trophy, was one of the best two-way centers in hockey before his injury troubles. If he reestablishes himself as the player he once was, or even something close to it, is there a chance the rebuilding Flyers move him, or would the heft on his contract make that an impossibility? Now, the thing with said contract regarding Couturier is that it's a pretty beefy one. $7.75 million a year till the end of 2030. Couturier is 30, turning 31 right now. So, if you were to try to map things out, by the time this deal is over, hey, guess what? The guy's going to be 36, 37 years old and making $7.75 million. Now sure, you could say that he earned the payday. He had been making a smaller amount of money earlier. He was on a long-term $4.3 million AAV deal for the latter part of the 2010s. And Couturier has had multiple 70-point seasons, multiple 30-goal years, near point-per-game years where he had limited ice time and games played, and overall, when he has been in the lineup, he has been a force. Ever since, 2016-ish, 2017 really, that's when Couturier broke out and became one of these top two-way centers. Add to this the projectability in his own end. He is a very good defensively minded guy too. There's a lot of value in the prime game that Sean Couturier brings. And even though back in 2021 when he was still playing, he was still a pretty good player, he's been out for over a year, almost 2 full years. So the question really is, if he comes back, how good is he going to be? And you have to ask yourself as well, if he does come back and he is good, does he really fit with the Philadelphia Flyers timeline of projectable success? Back when the Flyers made the playoffs in the 2020 bubble and they were seen as this powerhouse team, sure, it was fine then. Claude Giroux was there, Couturier was a top-tier guy, he was under a point per game, and the Flyers were seen by many as one of the favorites to win the Cup in the 2020 bubble playoffs. They didn't do that, they lost in the second round, but still, Sean Couturier was a part of a beastly core. But it's been a few years since then, and that core is no longer. You no longer have Ivan Provorov. You no longer have Giroux. You no longer have a lot of these guys that were mainstay contributors. Voracek, Kevin Hayes, JVR, you're probably thinking about trading away Travis Sanheim. That guy's name has been linked in a bunch of rumors. So, this is not the same team. They're younger, they've got more prospects, and they're probably going to get themselves another top pick sometime in this year's worth of play. So with that in mind, do you look at Sean Couturier and you assume he's healthy and say, all right, we have to trade this guy? To expand on this idea even further, we're heading over onto NHLTradeTalk.com. It says here on August 29th, the Flyers may trade Sean Couturier, but there is a problem. The idea that was mentioned in Sportsnet is written about here, but this piece brings up another few ideas. While it's challenging to envision the Flyers parting ways with such a cornerstone player and he's got plenty of power to squash a potential deal, the reality is Couturier's recent history has been marred by prolonged absences from the NHL, and the Flyers are a team that are literally changing things on the fly. He's missed a bunch of games since 2020-2021, and he has been out for quite some time. Fortunately, while the 22-23 season was seen as Couturier's throwaway entirely sidelined by injuries, he says he's improving and his condition is day and night from what it used to be. Last time he was pushing through and not sure what was bothering him. Doctors said the pain would go away, but he was always feeling uncomfortable. In March, he noted he doesn't have those feelings and can work out normally, and he said he was pushing as hard as he could to get back this year and get some games in. The outlook for the 23-24 season is indeed better. And so while his health is great, the Flyers need to go out there and ask him to consider waiving his no move. The potential for a trade involving Couturier might become a topic of discussion if he can demonstrate sustained good health in the upcoming year. However, his no move clause and contract terms could play a decisive role in any decision to move him. The presence of a 10-team trade list requirement in 29-30 further complicates potential trade scenarios in the present tense. If he doesn't want to leave, there isn't much the Flyers can do. And even if he does, the team would have to find another club willing to take a risk that Couturier's injuries are behind him. As the organization navigates this complex situation, the balance between Couturier's historical significance and the team's rebuilding aspirations remain at the forefront of decision-making. And wow, that is a mouthful. There's a little bit more in this article, so the link is also going to be in the description here. But for Sean Couturier, this ultimately is the deal, and it's a lot of why players opt to sign contracts like these in the first place. There's a lot of security there for him, and that's a good thing. Good for him, good for his family, because when you sign long-term deals, it doesn't matter if you get hurt, it doesn't matter if you lose out on a full season's worth of play, you're still going to get paid. But the benefit of the doubt for the NHL team which employs you does not necessarily exist in the same capacity. You don't know what things are going on the NHL team when you're off the ice. You don't know how things are being run. You don't know the direction. And sure, while it's obvious for us to watch that unfold, and Sean Couturier probably saw it too, it's not like he has a say into what happens. He's just an LTIR guy who has been rotting away while the team trades away all its core pieces, loses out on top-tier guys, and eventually incorporates younger talent into the lineup. He's coming back to almost a completely different Flyers team than what you had just a few years ago. And so with the Flyers all of a sudden being this rebuilding team, you gotta think, Sean Couturier, if he comes over here and he's good, he probably wins you like an extra 3 or 4 games on the year. Like, obviously that's a pretty big example, but Sean Couturier is a good enough player who's probably going to have a big enough role on a team like Philadelphia to will an extra win or two here and there with a goal or a clutch defensive play or whatever. Couturier is just one of those guys. He is so good when he is on his game that the Philadelphia Flyers might stand to say, all right, well, if we want to lose, if we want a better draft pick, if we want to actually get better prospects, would it not be better if Couturier was not on the team? And I guess it would be easy to say, hey, like, it's just not working out the timeline of what we're trying to build and your contract, your talent level, it's not as appreciated here in Philly as it would be on another team that's trying to make the playoffs and win. Would you please waive your no move? Sure, that's a possibility, and we've seen players with no move clauses waive them before in order to get traded. But at the end of the day, it really depends on what we see out of Couturier to kick off the year, and it depends on how good he actually is able to be, because we don't know just yet how that's going to go down. So, Sean Couturier, yay or nay? Trade or stay? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. The links are going to be in the description to both the Sportsnet and NHL Trade Talk article if you wanted to read some more food for fodder regarding this Flyer situation. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as to Couturier and his future with the Flyers. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.